Hello, this is National Chess Master Al Rats at chess.com, here to analyze a game submitted by calsal for my member best game thread. It's a very nice attacking game, and we'll run through it and see what we come up with. And hurry up, I'm about to finish this thread off. If you want to get your game in, when I get caught up, I'm closing it. Okay, so this is interesting. It brings up, the opening is interesting because it brings up a common theme of transposition. Now, what is transposition? To transpose something. In other words, this looks like a Sicilian defense, and it becomes an entirely different opening, and we will see why in a moment. Now, C3 is it's a version of the Sicilian defense. The most active move for black to play, and not the only move for black to play, is D5. And did I mention this was probably an over-the-board tournament game because these are USF ratings? But I don't know the time control. But anyway, D5 is the most active move, and its analysis is beyond the scope of this video. But instead, black plays E6, and now we get into transposition. Okay, D4. Now, it could still stay a Sicilian defense with moves like knight F6. Okay, but what happens is black plays D5, and suddenly, after E5, we've transposed into the French defense, advanced variation, just like that. Now, if you're white and you know how to play this, this is fine. This is a useful weapon to be able to recognize that you can transpose into this. If you're black and you're not a French defense player, you need to know this opening. Okay, and need to avoid going into this if you don't know this opening. So you can't transpose every game and every opening into something else, but when you can, it can be used to your advantage if you can get into an opening you know pretty well. Now, normal is for black to play knight c6 here, and instead black plays queen b6. Now, is the move order all that important? I don't know. Probably somewhere in the anthologies there might be a game where your opponent, if you get this position as white, that you have a way to take advantage of that. I don't know. That's your guy's job. Opening theory. I'm sure it's been played before. What's the right move? Well, what happens is they transpose back into the main line. But a question does come up: can we do anything else? And I don't know. That's the answer. It's up to you guys to find things. I know when I played correspondence chess and somebody finally got out of the book, I would go look in other books until I could find it. Has their move been tried before? I want to know. Then, once I ran out of book, I had to start working on my own. But anyway, it now transposes back into the main line. Now, I know in this position there are two moves: Bishop D3 and Bishop E2. Bishop D3 sets a subtle little trap. Okay, and I've actually I saw a master lose, a French defense master lose from this position against an international master to the trap. Now, what's the trap, you ask? Well, here, I'll show it to you, because it's a tactic probably most of you have seen. If you look at D4, black has 3 attackers and white only has 2 defenders. So let's look at the obvious captures. See? Now black's won a pawn, right? Wrong. And as I said, I saw a master fall into this. I think he's a member of chess.com too. I'm not going to give his name. Anyway, international master was Kamran Shirazi. He formerly was in Southern California, originally from Iran. Last I heard, in New York City. But anyway, white wins the queen to a discovery. But anyway, this is all known in theory, and you don't expect to win a game like that. I'm sure the international master didn't expect to win a game like that. Black plays the correct move here, Bishop D7. Now, why is that the correct move? Because it takes away Bishop B5 check. Now, the analysis I have on this is very old. I remember looking at it because I was playing a game nearly a year and a half ago against a French defense player, and I ended up not allowing him to play a French defense, but I was studying this line, trying to find out what it said, and it was basically long and in depth, and I didn't even have the current stuff on it, so it was basically called about even, and I didn't want to give him an even game. After 20 moves, I'd give him an even game after 5 moves and get him out of book. So we played something else and still drew. Exciting game, though. Anyway, I don't know what the main line is here, but it's this. I'm pretty sure this isn't the main line. I know that in some cases white can sacrifice the pawn, but here white chooses not to sacrifice the pawn. So if you're a French defense player, you need to know this line too. And it's all new to me. I don't know. And there's many divergencies here. Which is the best line? I don't know. If you're going to play or allow a French defense, you need to know these things. It's one of the drawbacks with having to learn so much from opening theory. Someone's already played this position and they've hopefully found the best moves. And it's reference work. You too can find the best move if you look at enough chess books. It's a lot of work though to cover all the variations, and then you get to remember them too. Not an easy trick. That's why I like to get out a book myself. Okay, but I did look. It's still theory. It's just a lesser theory up until right here. Okay, and now we're on our own. But let me just back up because there's some comments I didn't make. I meant to make. Okay, as I said, this is not the main line. Now this puts an immediate threat on f2. Now what are the other strategic drawbacks with this capture? e5 could become a problem. It's no longer guarded by a pawn. But at the same time, black's counterplay on the d4 square is evaporated. Okay, what do both sides need to do? Well, we know the answer to that. If you watch my videos, develop. Okay, they got to develop, but black is going to try to coordinate something against this e5 pawn or break in the center with f6, a common theme in the French defense where black tries to get a couple of center pawns. Even if they're isolated and hanging, he tries to get them and get them rolling. So let's see what happens. And now again the plan of f6 comes in and white develops. And now we have opposite side castling. And I don't know, is that kind of risky? Well, the black king side is not all that safe. But black, he spent a tempo in f6. Black could close the king side with f5, and white no longer has a capture en passant available, and this shuts this bishop out, and then black could continue with knight e7 and castle king side. That's a whole different ball game. What could happen there? But castling queen side just seems to invite a pawn storm. Where black hasn't gotten his rolling yet. Okay, so now attack the queen. And like I say, we're out of book here. Now, black needs to finish his development. What's this knight doing here? White needs to finish his development. So the question is, what's that knight doing there? Okay. This knight could go to h6 and maybe find its way to f5 or back to f7. But black needs to develop, and black needs to get his pawns rolling because white's about to get his going. So white develops the knight. Now this move here I think is a mistake. It's a voluntary unforced error. There was nothing. You don't want to weaken your pawns in front of your king, especially when your opponent's starting a pawn roller. That just allows the pawn roller to get there quicker. B5 will oppose this pawn immediately. If it's still back on an a7, it will not oppose that pawn immediately. So this is just asking for it. This is a very, very, very poor move. What's he afraid of? Knight b5? Well, so what? Just bring your queen back to b8 and hold on. You castle or put her on d8 and run your king in the corner. You castled your king on the queen side, so you're gonna have to live with it. But a6 is a bad move. And then white develops this rook. That's a good move. I was wondering when... Oh, we got too far up. Back up. hit the wrong button sometimes and things go wrong. Okay. Let's see. So rook c1. Okay. Now black finally makes the choice to accept the isolated hanging pawns in the center. White's got a nice outpost for his knight. certainly black doesn't want to take it. Knight takes, and then bishop takes, just starts shredding his queen, the defenders away from his king. The bishop's on a killer diagonal, and then we're going to get rid of another bishop, have to trade that off, and then the files start opening up. So black develops his piece, which is good, and here's b5. And at this point, black just starts on a path of self-destruction. What are the alternatives? Probably anything other than his next. Well, his next move's not so bad, but the move after that is. Let's deal with the knight. That would have been his best choice. You don't want to take this bishop. That opens up a line on the queen. You can admit, you can come back. You can take this pawn. Might even go to d8. But you got to be careful. But this isn't that bad. Bishop takes a3. But the follow-up is horrible. White does this correctly. Even though his rook's under attack, he picks up a tempo on this bishop. Now, this is the point where black needed to shut this c-file off with bishop takes. Okay, he had to do it. Although white still got some attacking chances on the c-file. Rook will come to c2, and you're going to try for c4. But black grabs this rook, and what's he thinking? You don't want to give up two minor pieces for a rook, okay? It's just bad news. And now white's basically got an overwhelming position. Two bishops are worth way more than a rook and a pawn. Okay, bishop and knight are worth more than a rook and a pawn. Even though the material count says they're better, in practice they're just going to prevail. Okay, so meanwhile the black king side attack hasn't even started. See, nothing has come forward, and black is missing a lot of defenders for his king. He's running out of them. So he gets his king off the open file before it opens up. White says, okay, fine, you're off that file. I'll go with another one. White's handling this game very nicely. And now there's a threat. Bishop takes c6. So what should black do? I don't know. I think he's busted no matter what he tries. And now the king just tries to wiggle back the other side of the board. Clearly he's castled right into danger. Should have maybe tried to castle kingside. Then white comes up with this interesting sacrifice, and it's one that black cannot accept. If pawn takes, the queen is taking with check, and the only move is to play that doesn't bring down the house is to put the king there. And now rook b7 is just deadly. Black can resign. I mean, where's he going to go? Queen c8. I mean, my God, we've got all kinds of great moves here. We could rook takes knight check is appetizing. And it's beyond the scope of this. I'm sure it's just so many different ways to win this. Rook takes d7 works. Queen a5 check probably works. Anything wins here. So black cannot take that bishop. So sends the knight in to try to help. And white says, well, one less defender. Now look at this. Threatening discoveries all over the place. My goodness. So black chooses this. This way he won't lose his queen to rook b5 check. But it doesn't matter. Black's busted. I've been saying that for a while. Not just a matter of time. Just have to get the queen in the game. But actually, white doesn't even need to get the queen in the game. White has, this does more than win the queen. And now there's a thematic mate, the Arabic mate or Arabian mate, I think they call it. It's supposedly the oldest mate they know of, because back in the old days when queens moved one square at a time diagonally and bishops two squares at a time diagonally, your rook and your knight were your strongest pieces. So this was a common mate. The knight does a double function. It secures the rook and covers the b8 flight square. So there wasn't much to this game. It was a wonderful game. I mean, look at this. You can't underestimate anybody. 1264 takes down 1632. These upsets happen. It They shouldn't happen, but they do. And maybe Black overestimated his opponent, or underestimated, I should say. But anyway, it was a very nice game, calsal. Thanks so much, everyone, for having a look. Take care. Bye.